Okay, so like I did last time, I'm going to read another one of my Substack articles. For those of you that don't like to read, you can listen. This one I put out in May. I don't know if maybe I should only read the new ones. No, it's okay to go back. I don't know. This is one of my favorite ones, I think, only because it's so extremely personal. I mean, all of them are, but this one. Okay, anyway, this one's called Love Addict. Here you go. Also, I just want to say that I have not read this since I published it in May. I just realized. So if I stumble over any words or feel confused at a second, it's because I'm like rereading it again. And I obviously remember the topic, but I don't remember all the words. Okay, anyway. Love Addict. Addiction to men, this week's topic. And no, it's not for their genitalia, but I couldn't resist the title as it gave me a chuckle. This article has actually taken me almost 3 weeks to write due to its very personal nature and embarrassment of letting it out to not only strangers, but close family members who are generous and supportive enough to subscribe to my Substack. Thank you, and I greatly appreciate if you don't bring this up at the next holiday brunch. Everyone knows someone, if not personally, then most likely in the tabloids or countless movies and TV shows who have suffered from some kind of substance abuse. But what about when that narcotic is another human being? Welcome to my world. It's a tricky one because there is no bottle of booze or jar of pills to put down. It's all stored in that hidden place of shame and dread, my brain, which apparently thrives on giving great power to the opposite sex, allowing them to completely occupy my cranium like a cancer. It's an obsession in my psyche that at times feels so incurable and hopeless, I end up questioning a reason to exist. Oof, it's got dark. I apologize if that was too brazen of a start, but I'm almost 50, and honestly, I'm just really sick of the fucking pain. And you subscribe to this shit show, so enjoy. No wonder my parents are worried. This is probably foreign to most of you, but if you've never completely ruined your whole day just waiting for one person to text you back, consider yourself extremely lucky. I'm not writing this because I know any answers or solutions, only that I know the addiction and have at various times throughout my life suffered greatly from it. If you are reading this and can relate, just know that you can reach out to me after your peers refuse to hear that asshole's name once more. If you don't have a close friend afflicted with the same mental illness, fuck anyone having any understanding of your pain. They instead just deem you as weak, which makes you stop relaying any obsession-related feelings or actions to them, leaving you even more alone in your pain. This is not at all a criticism of the frustrated friends I have had over the years. Just a statement I felt I had to address for anyone that has been in the same shame-filled predicament and felt they had no one to reach out to. I wish I could have more open conversations with female friends, but just like a guy assuming I'm a bitch, the first female response is most often, that guy's a narcissist or an asshole, or both. I don't buy it to be that black and white, but maybe that's because I have been called crazy ever since I can remember. My friends may be right, and these guys may be complete assholes, but I am the one who should be more harshly judged. They showed their cards from the beginning, and I kept betting, knowing the house always wins. I am the one that needs shock therapy for spending a large chunk of my life vying for the love of several emotionally unavailable human beings. And the last one was a Raiders fan, as if my shame wasn't embarrassing enough. In addition to all the glorious moments spent telling jokes on various stages, vying for adoration from strangers, I've in turn spent a good majority of my adult life grasping for the undying affection of the opposite sex. Desperately wanting random various men to love me, all while picking the absolute worst candidates for the job. They're not all the worst. Maybe, might be. What's the famous quote? I don't want to be a part of any club that would have me as a member. If someone likes me too much and too quickly, I automatically assume there is something very wrong with them, because why would they choose me? That's sad. Or maybe I just love a good challenge. Let me just state right now for any men who are already thinking of sending me a hateful email of how I'm an ungrateful bitch who doesn't appreciate nice guys, save it. I've already gotten them all. I once spoke on my podcast about breaking up with a guy who was very sweet, but I thought his drinking habits would be bad for me, only to receive an email from a fan letting me know that I was a cunt who was going to die alone. True story. Touche. Apparently, if a guy is nice to me, my best interest should be set aside to make room for his fleeting flowers. My motivation in writing this article is not for the purpose of complaining or seeking sympathy for currently only needing one pillow on my bed. I am simply telling my story of various heartbreak due to my own making and hopeful recovery, as it may be relatable and helpful to others in the same situation. I spent the years of 2009 to 2012 being completely obsessed with a guy I never even kissed, to the point I knew his daily schedule and would try to time my walks to the gym to correlate when he was leaving his local AA meeting across the street. In case you didn't believe me when I said this wasn't based solely on sexual contact. I've had a few healthy relationships in my life and about 4 completely unhealthy, obsession-filled, several years-long casualties. I'm writing this in desperate hopes that this last one is exactly that. I fell in love in early 2020 with who I now hope is my last bad habit. And yes, I did sleep with this one and the sex was amazing. But he was insistent that we were just friends. I would wait around till he wanted to see me again, which was usually about every 3 to 4 weeks. Just the type of annoying cycle every woman is used to. Eventually, I was literally breaking my own heart for an hour of what I thought was the deepest love I had ever felt for another person of the opposite sex. Complete ecstasy, followed by a month of tears and sad, desperate, angry texts, usually in the vein of, "Oh, why don't you love me? Why don't you love me?" I don't even know how to properly act out that line. Why don't you love me? Is there any more of a turnoff? At least once a month, I would plan out what I was going to say to him when he contacted me. Usually, oh man, I didn't think I was going to cry. Usually a very dramatic monologue about why I did not want to see him anymore. Desperately hoping every day that he would text me so I could tell him why I don't want him to text me anymore. Literally the definition of insanity. Please contact me so I can tell you why I no longer want you to contact me. I think a lot of people have done that. But of course he never did, because he didn't need to. I wouldn't make it 2 weeks without convincing myself that if you love someone, you should check in on them and see how they're doing, which in turn would result in him offering to come over. And who am I to say no? I could die tomorrow. Carpe diem. Still trying to figure out if my brain is a blessing or a curse. I tried being with other people, but it just felt mediocre. And why settle for a buffet when I can still get the filet mignon? These are the justification my brain makes. I didn't realize this article was so long. The more months that passed, the more seriously I began to ponder that this self-destructive, depression-inducing behavior could actually turn to real self-harm. It's already a challenge going through this menopausal midlife change. The inability to look in the mirror, because I quite literally have a different face after the age of 45. My years of partying hadn't helped. But hey, I lived in New York on 9/11. I witnessed mass death unfold 7 miles from the couch I was perched on. The fragility of life mixed with my constant pursuit of the most delicious IPA may not have always been good for the pores. After 3 years of desperate yearning and too many thoughts of disappearing, I suddenly became insistent that he be my last fucked up, self-destructive obsession. If I didn't finally change, I was going to die. Not necessarily because of him, but because he was just the next protagonist in the story of my life of men I have chosen to destroy me. Ooh. I became committed to the mindset that the universe keeps giving me the same challenge until I conquer it. I made it my personal emotional boot camp to stick it out with him until I no longer felt I needed him in order to survive. I kept going back while doing intense personal therapy to make sure I would never choose another one of these killers again. God, I had no idea this was so dramatic. I have run 13 full 26-mile marathons and watched An Officer and a Gentleman at least a dozen times. Just like Richard, I don't back away from a challenge. After many long walks accompanied by motivational podcasts and hours of the best spiritual hot yoga, shout out to Core Power Hot Yoga, I no longer cry from the ridiculous thoughts that I desperately need him in my life. I also no longer have anger toward him. Funny that I said that. Well, I'm crying right now. I do my best to look at every situation as one that comes from a place of love. Whomever I am tortured by is quite possibly in turn tortured by somebody else. I don't know these guys' personal stories. I just know that I don't want to blame them anymore. Hurt people hurt people. Somebody told me that quote. I don't know who it was. Why am I crying? I've been looking so hard for validation from others instead of just getting it from myself. Like I said, I have no answers or any hints of a cure. I'm not sure there even is one, except that similar to being an alcoholic, I just take it one day at a time. The one thing I have learned is that it's not always real. Not every thought I have in my head is a fact. It took me till the age of about 42 to learn this, but better late than never, I guess. So now when the negative thoughts and hours of dialogue I pretend to have with a guy rejecting me plagues me to the point of tears, I don't fight it. I grab some Kleenex and cry. And just imagine those bad thoughts are like a horrible radio station I am forced to listen to until it runs out of battery. This article hits on a chunk of my life that resulted in depression, but I'd like to end it by reassuring all of you wonderful people who were caring enough to read this or now listen to this till the end that I am very good. I practice amazing self-care every day, and I'm constantly grateful that this is quite literally my only problem in life. What's a little mental illness? At least I'm not a Raiders fan. I forgot the ending of that. The Raiders fan. All right. Well, thank you. I have to post this as much as my brain would probably be like, do it again tomorrow because you cried. I hadn't read that since May. All right. Thank you. I would say subscribe to my Substack, but you probably already have if you're actually watching this. That's January 2nd, Damar. It's Damar Day.